Hello. I think we're recording. Yeah, okay. I'll just zoom out a bit. Right. This is an attempt at video recording. I'd like to talk about knowledge study. I'm not really sure what I want to say about it though, because I've got absolutely nothing planned whatsoever. Although I have spent a lot of years doing knowledge study, so you'd think I'd be able to summon something up from memory. Well, I can't at the moment. The thing with, I'd make a brilliant politician, wouldn't I? Just ad-libbing in this really brilliant way. The thing is with knowledge study, well, I think a lot about knowledge, and I would do, wouldn't I? I've been doing it for years. I think a lot about knowledge, but then I think a lot about thinking too. And I wonder whether the problem that we all devote lots of time to, that the problem of knowledge, the problem of understanding knowledge, the problem of having enough knowledge, all the things we say about knowledge, isn't actually more of a problem about thinking. Thinking seems to be more important now, where we've got so many aids to knowledge. Search engines provide instant answers, usually pretty good ones. I'm not knocking it, you want to know something and you can pretty well find out straight away, and a lot of the stuff that you get is good, it's good quality. I used to hear lots of things about how you had to be suspicious of things you found on the internet, and whether it was true or not. But by and large, whether I've been very lucky or not, I've found what I wanted, and it's been good quality information. And it tends to be harder for me to convert that to knowledge because it's so easily accessible. I don't spend a lot of effort on it, and therefore it's harder for me to commit and make it part of my part of my knowledge, a part of my knowledge profile. So I think that the availability of information is certainly doing maybe a little bit of harm to people's personal knowledge. Whilst they seem to know a lot more in general, they seem to also know a lot less specifically. That's an odd thing. I'm not really quite so sure about the way the availability of information is affecting knowledge. I do think it is affecting it considerably. It's affecting other things like attention span. People seem to be able to devote less time to anything. I've been told that if this video is longer than 2 minutes, that nobody will watch it. I don't think it'll be nobody watching it because it's 2 minutes. I just think nobody will ever see it. But that's irrelevant. I'm not actually doing it for that reason anyway. I'm doing it to see actually if my new camera works with 4K video alright, so there's the motivation. And of course I was taking a few stills of myself in case I want to use them on the website, but we seem to have diverted away from the thing I was talking about. I did want to talk about knowledge, but it seems that it's thinking that I really think is suffering. I think that thinking is something that isn't done as well these days. Not claiming to be a master of thinking myself, but I do like to go out for long walks and think in depth about things. I don't get the opportunity to discuss thoughts with many people. Usually when I meet people, it's socially, which means that stuff isn't in-depth thinking. It's not in-depth anything. In fact, you're probably accused of being boring if you want to be interested in something. I guess that was always the case, it's not just now. But the thinking thing is to do with the availability of information, maybe the so-called availability of knowledge. It's actually the availability of information. But if I can get things very quickly, if I can get answers to questions very quickly, why would I think about them too much? Why give the whole thing any thought whatsoever if I can just access the internet or pick my mobile phone up and ask Cortana to tell me the answer and provide me with either a direct answer or provide me with a search reference to it, to where I can find the answer. So why would I want to think about things? Well, I don't know is the answer, and I think a lot of people have that dilemma. You know what? Maybe they don't think, why should I think? Maybe they just don't bother because they don't need to. Why? Thinking's quite hard. It's like, I guess, a bit like athletics. If you want to become a top athlete, you have to train very hard and get up early in the morning and run for miles or whatever it might be you're training for. And it's hard work and it takes dedication. Regrettably, thinking seems to be a bit like that too. If you want to be a deep thinker and you want to actually do something with your thoughts, i.e. apply them to something, then that's hard work too. It's much easier just to, well, it's easier even to read a book. You don't have to do too much thinking if you're reading a book, and you can forget about it. Of course you can read a book and think, they're not mutually exclusive. But the problem is that that thinking is perhaps hard work, and thinking about things and then taking some action on the results of your thoughts, that's even harder, you know. Think about how to do something and then actually do it, and then maybe wonder why it didn't work, and then maybe think some more about what went wrong, and then maybe change the thing you do, and then the thing you're going to do, and then actually do that. All that is hard work, and it can be frustrating. I mean, failing, not doing something right the first time is frustrating. But you learn so much by not doing things right the first time. It's amazing how much you can learn by making mistakes. Mistakes are a very precious thing. It's nice if the mistakes aren't fatal or they lead to serious problems. And actually most of the mistakes we make are like that. They don't lead to serious problems and they're not fatal. It is unfortunate if they are, and maybe we shouldn't allow so many of those types of mistakes. But mistakes are not all bad. They're a really good thing. They're a really good tool for learning. You know, you can have a think about something, try something out. It doesn't quite work the way you wanted it to. Have a think about why that is. Have a think about what went wrong in terms of what you wanted to happen and what didn't happen the way you wanted it to. All those, the thinking that you have to do in order to do those things, it is very difficult indeed. And I guess some people are in professions where they have to do a lot more thinking up front so that not as many things go wrong. But inevitably things do go wrong, and you can to some extent protect against or mitigate against the failures and yet still allow them to happen. So the failures can mean that you advance a long way. The mistakes you make can be the way you learn the most. I think we can probably all remember making some serious mistakes, and we probably don't remember as well when we do things right the first time. In fact, if you do something right the first time, there's not much to remember. You just did it, and that was it. And regrettably, if you did it right just purely by chance, you've learned nothing about what you did. It's when you make the mistake and you think about it, that's when you learn things. So thinking, having a think yourself, trying things out. In fact, when you search on the internet for an answer, the answer can mean either a little to you or it can mean a lot to you. If you come across a problem and you want to solve it, and the first thing you do is search on the internet and you find the answer and you implement the solution straight away, there's not much to learn from that. But if you've had a really good think about the problem and you're not perhaps getting anywhere, and you've thought about different ways that you could do something, and you think that none of them are really quite right, and you've tried a couple of things and it doesn't really work, and then you search for the answer, then the answer means an awful lot to you, because you know why that particular answer will work, if indeed it will, because you've tried a number of the other things that didn't work, and all of a sudden you can see what you were doing wrong. All of a sudden what you were doing makes a lot more sense in the global doing it the right way. So if you can do things and learn a lot about the way to do things, then making mistakes and then finding out an answer, then implementing it, that can also be a great learning tool. So certainly wouldn't want to say that people shouldn't ever search for answers, but if you've got questions, do have a think about them first. If you're believing something, if you believe something, have a think about what it means to believe that. Have a think about what the implications are. Don't just take everything for granted in the world, you know, have a serious think about the way things are, the way things should be. I mean, what happens if everything you wanted came to pass? What sort of a world would it be? I guess that the world would be a pretty terrible place, unfortunately, if most of the things that we think we would like actually happened, because we don't tend to understand the consequences of things very well. The consequences of making everybody live forever, for instance, no sickness, no illness, and that might be a pretty terrible scenario when you see the world in a couple of thousand years and nobody's died and there's lots of people been born and everybody's fighting over resources. A pretty horrible place to live, I guess it will become. You know, have a think about the implications of things that you're doing, that you take for granted. Thinking's a great thing. Discuss it with other people. Don't have irrational views, though. Try and have views that are rational. Try and listen to other people's opinions. You know, at the moment there's a general election within a few days, and I really, you know, I'd sort of like a lot of the ideas that some of the parties have, but there isn't any one party that I think has all the right answers, and unfortunately I don't really think that they actually have thought much about the implications to the job they're supposed to be doing, governing the country. You know, we seem to be more worried about the little things rather than the big things about what it takes to govern a country. And the politicians just follow around the perceived public opinion. And if perceived public opinion says that they should say this, well then they say it. And unfortunately it means that we can't believe anything, and I really find it amusing that in the media they seem to want politicians to perform. One of the politicians wants to get pumped up because somebody said he wasn't enthusiastic enough. I don't really want the lead, how much we I've just looked at this and it said the camera app, and it said the recording stopped because the camera was busy. Well, it should be busy. It should be busy recording this video, and then it stopped because it was busy. I mean, what should a camera do? It should do camera things, shouldn't it? And if it's, I mean, what was it doing? Was it planning its holiday? It should have been busy recording the video. And it said, yeah, recording stopped because the camera was busy. How weird. What were you busy doing? You're supposed to be recording the video. Oh well, I don't know how much of all that rubbish I was talking about was actually recorded. Actually, I was talking about thinking. But I didn't know the camera was wandering off thinking for itself. Oh well, there you go. Given that, am I still recording? It says it's recording now, I think, but I'm really not sure. Should I carry on rabbiting on about thinking? Yes. What was I saying about thinking? I think a lot about knowledge, and I wonder whether businesses are interested in knowledge or whether they're just interested in making money. I wonder whether any people are interested in anything other than making money sometimes. But businesses have a bigger role in society than simply making money and making profit for a few people. Businesses, particularly big businesses, have an enormous role in society, and they should think about social things, and they should think about the way a democracy is, and they should think about knowledge. Yeah, certainly they should. When I say they, who do I mean? I mean the people at the top of the business, but everybody in it. The whole structure of the business should be more aware of its social function, not just its business function, not just its money-making function. It should be a complete entity. It should work within a community that it serves, and businesses do serve a community. Clearly they do. They provide the wherewithal for lots and lots of people to survive, to live properly, to live in the country that we live in. Businesses should think more, but individuals should think more too. I'm not really going to go into all this again because I don't know whether the video recorded it or not. And to be quite frank, I'm fed up of doing this now, but it was a good lesson to learn. I've got the camera set up on a tripod, such as it is. It was only 10 quid. I mean, I think I got my money's worth, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I might get another one. Anyway, I've got a background screen so I can take the green away and just have any old background. Maybe it'd be better taking me away and leaving the green actually, but never mind. I've got everything set up. It didn't take too long, so I'll just see what the quality's like. I'll go and get this camera, go and get everything put away, and see what I've actually got on the camera, see what the audio quality. I think the audio quality is going to be a big thing. I don't know how good the microphone is on this camera. I think it's a stereo microphone, I'm not sure, but since there's only one of me, it probably is not necessary to have a stereo microphone anyway. But I'll put it all away and see what happens, and based on this sort of test I can be maybe having a think about the way I would like to do some video making again. Whether I'm not sure about this aspect ratio. I wanted to use 4K video because I can. I don't know really why I need to be in 4K. In fact, I'd probably look a lot more presentable at a very much lower resolution. But because I'm getting on a bit. But never mind. yeah, I'll have a look at that, and maybe I'll just use high definition at some stage from now on. But I'll see what the 4K looks like. I'll see what high definition might look like, and what even ordinary definition, might look like for a video. There's all sorts of things I can have a think about using this particular recording, and the stills I've got too, the setup. I'm in the conservatory where it's quite light. I don't know if I've got shadows on this side, but the light's changing a bit now. It was a lot brighter when I started it, but there's probably more light from this side and less light from this side. I don't know if that's, you can see that, but now I can have a look. Less light, more light. Yeah, well, at least that will let me have a look. So I'll strip all this down. What's the time? Oh, it's 5 to 4. Time to think about doing the things that you do at 5 to 4, because I've only got 2 minutes left before it is 5 to 4, and then I'll have to start doing those things that people do at 5 to 4, when I realise what those things are. I wonder what people do at 5 to 4. I don't know. I wonder if this is stop recording it. Oh, you see, the function is not yet available during video recording. That's good. I don't know what function it was, but it isn't available during video recording. Huh. There you go. It's just as well, really, because I would have activated a function which I wasn't aware of. But since it's not available during video recording, there's two interesting things about that. One, the function didn't activate, and two, I'm still recording the video, which is good. I only wish I'd have been recording it before, when I was saying all that really fascinating stuff. I mean, if you missed it, which you probably did, because I think it stopped recording. I told you that business about the camera being busy. The camera stopped recording because it was busy. It's it's like saying the car stopped going along the road because it was travelling. I mean, what are cameras supposed to do? Anyway, I'll not go into all that again. It suffices to say that it's very nearly 5 to 4, and I really should be doing things that one does at 5 to 4, and I really should stop doing this. In fact, I've finally worked out what people do at 5 to 4. They pack all the things away that they've just got out in order to do something, and they finish, and then at 5 to 4 they have to start packing everything away, and it'll take ages because you get so many things out that you've got to put it all away, and it all has to go in its place, and then if you decide you're going to do it again, you have to get it all out again, and clearly you have to be ready to put it away again at 5 to 4. So it is 5 to 4, and I'm going to stop the recording. Bye bye. It didn't stop. Try again.